Hi, this is Joseph Rosales, and welcome to Business in the New Normal. I'm here with my co-host, Ike Devji, and we have some amazing guests here today we'll introduce in just a few minutes. As you know, Business in the New Normal is all about providing people with information in a balanced way that people can make good choices in this very uncertain time that we're all finding ourselves living in. We want you to be informed and prepared to make great choices. So, Ike, how are things going in your world today?
Good. Thank you. Busy
Good.
as always. We're handling a lot of different issues for different folks, ranging from business sales and the year-end estate planning rush on, especially with fears of how the law may change with the election. But we're also dealing with some more common and everyday issues, one of which is the massive national spike in identity theft related crimes that has unfortunately been a side effect of COVID-19. And we're seeing that in many different ways, including people using and stealing identities to do things like apply for unemployment benefits fraudulently. That's been a massive problem here in Arizona where we are and across the country. In fact, if you go to the FTC's website, which is identitytheft.gov, to fill out your own identity theft report, they even have a separate tab for unemployment insurance scams.
Wow.
That's been a
Wow.
big issue. And so we are educating folks on what to do if it happens to them, because unfortunately we've been contacted by a large number of people who've had their identity stolen in one way or the other. So
Mm.
that is something outside a little bit the traditional asset protection world where I play as an attorney, but is something that we're helping clients deal with. And I actually have an article that I published, came out this morning nationally on. It's a one-page field guide, what to do if it happens to you.
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to need that because, as I told you before we got on the call today, somebody is attempting, as we speak, to steal my identity. And we've got all the protection in place, but I got to get in touch with PayPal now and make sure that this person who bought this Fitbit to kind of test the water isn't going to get it. So I'll be downloading that checklist to make sure that I know all the steps I'm supposed to do.
I'll
So
make sure I send it to you.
yeah, and so it's really interesting, Ike, as you said a number of times, you're a bodyguard for wealthy people's money, and is there anything else that you see going on out there you want to share for just a few moments, to help our listeners understand what's going on out there?
Well, Joseph, there's some things that are very mechanical, right? Like we need to buy certain kinds of insurance, or we need to be more vigilant about protecting ourselves about identity theft, or those kinds of things that are very, very specific and mechanical, tangible things, right? Here's a list of things and you need to go do them. But what we're also seeing is that the role of leadership um, in maintaining a business, in keeping your staff motivated, in keeping your clients informed of what you're doing to keep them safe, in being able to pivot and adapt and survive has become more important than ever before. So while guys like me who are in some sort of professional technical skill, like I'm a lawyer, maybe the CPAs are doing certain things, financial advisors are doing certain things, there is this softer set of skills that people are having to develop. And fortunately, with the help of people like yourself and the work that you do, and of course, with your new book, The Leader of You, we're seeing that people who concentrated only on running the cash register for the last 20 years are having to expand the scope of their management and their leadership, of not just being a leader of a business, but being a leader of people, being a leader of themselves, and finding ways to keep moving forward despite the oppressiveness of what we're dealing with. I mean, we get it. We're all tired of hearing about it. We're all tired of
Mm,
talking about it.
mm,
But we're seeing a lot of people making paradigm shifts mentally,
yeah,
which I think is as important as getting a list from some attorney of things you need to do to not get sued.
yeah. Well, yeah, amen. I hear you, and it's interesting because that's a lot of the calls we're getting from people are about leadership, and I don't know where to go now. We live in a very uncertain time right now for all the reasons, from the virus to the economy to unemployment to the restrictions that are on all of us, and people they get kind of deer in the headlight. Like, I don't know which way to go, left, right. And when they don't move with left or right, they get stuck in the middle, and stuck in the middle is not a place you want to be today, especially. So, when I wrote the leader review, we started conceptualizing it a year or so ago. It fell right in line today. And I'm having more people say, I need to become a better leader of me, because you can't be a leader of others unless you're first an effective leader of yourself. And it's interesting because, it affects you personally, professionally, really has an impact on your life when you understand how to make better choices, how to be a more effective leader, how to self appraise yourself and your own skills, and how are you engaging and reacting to people. Because as stress goes up, we all know, as stress goes up, we don't react the same to certain stimuli that we would have before in certain situations. We might react very differently, which could have a very adverse effect on the people around you, not just your decisions, but on the people. And we want to be really careful about that. So it's really interesting because, in the leader review, and you guys can find out how to order it later. And we've got a digital course that we're working on, which is going to bring it all to life for people. It's really exciting, but, having an opportunity to inform people about real, as you said, the soft skills. How important is listening? I mean, how important is that? How important is choosing the right words? How important is having the right perspectives on things? And we're going to introduce our guest in a minute. And we met in Chicago. We spent a week in Chicago together. Then we spent several more days in Las Vegas, all pre-pandemic stuff. We were amazing times we had together. We had some great lunches and dinners together, and I became very connected to them and what they're doing. And right when COVID hit in March, they were ramped up doing all kinds of great stuff. And then boom, just like that, everything changed. And they're here today to tell their story. And, when I heard the changes they made, I said, you guys got to come on Business in the New Normal. You got to share this story, because there's millions of people, business owners, executives that are in exactly the same spot that they were. And I think it's a great story to talk about how they pivoted out of that. So without any further ado, why don't we go ahead and introduce them? The lady that you see on the screen is Kim Bassett. She's the founder and president and CEO of Fontis. I'll tell you a little bit more about Fontis in a second. She's the wife and mother of 6, entrepreneur of 5 companies, founder of 5 companies, corporate leader, trainer, speaker, and author of the book, Release What Is Holding You Back. I love that title, Kim. I love that title, because everybody's got something holding them back. She's passionate about helping companies of all sizes achieve their goals and stand out from the competition through creatively branded products and perfectly executed communication solutions. Her life work is empowering people and businesses to go from where they are now to where they want to go, saving them 15 to 20 years of learning curve. I love that, because we all have a learning curve, and it's costly. Damon is also the founder, co-founder of Fontis, and it actually is her brother, which I love that there's this sibling thing going on here. Father of 4 and husband, entrepreneur, corporate strategist, founder of 4 companies, and author of the book, Creating Customers for Life, great title, and the #1 secret to stock trading, which we probably have to have you come back and talk about that on another program, because that's stuff everybody should be interested in. He's advised and consulted with small businesses to Fortune 500 companies nationwide for over 25 years. With his background in technology, finance, real estate investments, and retail sales, Damon's customers benefit from the value of his knowledge and experience. Damon, Kim, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joseph, and great to meet you, Mike. It has been an honor. I was thinking this morning before we came on, like, oh my gosh, we met a year ago, Joseph.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that much time's gone by.
Yeah,
and
it really has.
What an honor. I mean, there was definitely, the minute I walked into that hotel room and saw you and met you, there was a connection. For sure.
Yeah, it was great. Well, thank you. And it seems like a lifetime ago, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Sometimes it does. Seems like a lot's happened since then.
Yeah, it has. Well, speaking of what's happened, I know that you guys have an amazing story to share with our listeners. I'd like one of you to kind of just take 2 or 3 minutes and tell us about where you were back in March and where you are now, and then we'll get to some more questions as we go. So, one of you take it away.
Okay, so Joseph, it actually started a little before March. I had I'm a person who shows up, right? I love being involved in my community. Vegas is an amazing, amazing business community, and was involved in a lot of different areas within the city, different types of businesses, from construction to small business. And I had the benefit of having a really great friend in HR, and she had a son that was here visiting in December. We were hearing back at that time, all the things that were happening overseas. We weren't really having a lot going on here. Well, what ended up happening is her son was working in China. He came back to visit his mom for Christmas and got stranded here. And that got my wheels turning, right? And I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? Damon and I, are, it's crazy, right? People think, oh my gosh, you can't work with family. I have the best life. He is the best brother, the best partner. I'm just so blessed. But we started talking, and I started looking, okay, how is this going to impact our business? What happens if what happens there happens here? What are we going to do? How are we going to work? But that was in the back of my mind, because we had some big plans and some big things that we had going on this year that we were going to literally transition and transform our company.
Now, Kim, real quick, what was your business then? It was promotional and print products, right?
Yep. Fontis is a marketing communications company, and our specialty is print and promotional, but we're kind of like a boutique marketing communications company, but we're backed by a $2 billion company.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So continue.
So we made these identifications, and then I'm going to let Damon kind of take it from here.
Well, okay. So, just to fill in the blanks. So just to give you an idea. So you talked a little bit about sales going down. Okay. So in February, we were still doing all right. It was great. We even had a major event in Las Vegas. We rented out a facility. We're going to have a lot of vendors in, a ton of our customers in. It was going to be a big, a huge event. And so we were excited about that in May, and then March happened, and all of a sudden they slowed down. They said, hey, you may not be able to do your event. We might be shutting down. And so we're like, okay, great. But this is our big event. This is our to do every year. We got to make sure this happens. And then boom, they said, we're going down to lockdown, nationwide lockdown. Our sales went from record sales to 10%. We lost 90% of our sales overnight when all the events shut down nationwide, because that's a big part of our business.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, we're out of business unless we do something. We have to pivot like today. We don't have time to think about it. We got to pivot. Where do we go? We're like, well, what do people need? If they don't need print and promotional products, what do they need? If they're not doing events, what do they need? Well, they need masks. They're going to need hand sanitizer. They're going to need all these other products that are COVID related. So let's pivot. Let's see if we can find our current suppliers and see if they can make a shift with us. And so we got with our suppliers and said, what can you do to help us to make this pivot? And they said, we're pivoting too. One of our vendors said, we're shutting down all of our supplies. We're not doing t-shirts anymore. We're doing hand sanitizer.
Wow.
And so it was really, it really shut us down right away. And we knew we had to pivot fast if we wanted to be successful. And so, so we started doing PPE. And I don't know how much you want to get to that, but it's really transformed our whole business into a new model during that time where it was on shutdown and there was nobody doing anything. Everybody was at home, locked down. Nobody was buying anything, and nobody was even returning our phone calls.
Wow. It's interesting because the key that I got there was that you stopped, you said, what are we going to do? You started looking at the options. You reached out to your vendors, key, and they said, we're pivoting to bang. And that's a quick pivot of a big company that moves from what you were doing to what you're now doing. And now you'll have both. Because when it changes, you have both now. You have the PPE and you still have your promotional and print, options. So that's amazing. How's it been going?
Yeah, it's going great. I mean, Kim can get into the recent sales that she just posted and reviewed. But we now that things have opened back up, and like this time of the year is big for us for tax forms. So tax forms are huge. I mean, we do millions of tax forms during this time. So that's great. That's picking up. So that's going well with us. Events still are kind of dry, but, people are looking at, now employee gifts, holiday greeting cards for customers, things like that. That's all big business for us at the end of the year. So we're starting to see the uptick of our normal business coming back in for this last quarter of the year. So we're excited because it's doubling up. And Kim, you want to talk about our sales? What was our sales last 3 months?
So the 3 months of the lockdown and the shutdown, I was able, because of a relationship I had been nurturing and building, and even the person that I used had not, I had not sold to, but she had heard of what I did with some of the people within other divisions within this large government agency. And so I went to her right away when we started pivoting. We found our vendors, right, our resources. I went to her. I didn't care. Back in my mind thinking, oh my gosh, they're way so big. They probably already have all their avenues. They probably have already been pivoting. And I didn't care, right? My mindset, and that's one of the key things I think that Damon and I had success in. And I'll kind of go into that a little bit in a minute. There was 3 keys to this success. But in 3 months, we did $250,000 with one customer, and it kept our doors open.
Awesome.
That's just COVID. We never had that revenue before.
That's awesome.
We're a $2 million company.
Brand new revenue.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Tim
awesome.
And Jason, can I ask you, has there been a crossover between the two businesses? For instance, are you doing branded PPE for some of your folks where, I wouldn't mind, for instance, having masks with my logo on them to give to my clients, or hand sanitizer. There's a financial advisor here in Scottsdale who I know, who recently had on LinkedIn, he had posted a photograph of the custom built laser cut hand sanitizer, stainless steel hand sanitizer dispenser in the lobby of his office as part of the measures that they're taking. And he had this beautifully laser cut, custom crafted 5-foot tall thing that you touch with a foot pedal. And so many other things out there, of course, the masks and the sanitizers and everything else. Is that something that you folks are custom branding?
Yes, we definitely need to talk, because that's definitely right in our wheelhouse.
It is. And that beautiful custom laser etched, we definitely sell that as well.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny that you mentioned the masks. That's the one thing that we are going to start really promoting, is because if everyone's walking around with these masks, don't you want your logo on? Don't you want to be top of mind to people, right?
Sure.
That is a walking billboard.
Yep.
Well, and it's a practicality issue as well. I mean, going into the flu season where we're going to have more spikes, I saw reports this morning that COVID cases are up 20% right now nationally. Frankly, I'd much rather get a mask in the mail from somebody who's sending me a Christmas time thank you gift than a coaster set. One of those things is going to go in a drawer, and one of those things is going to be on my face all over town. Or in my car, or in my briefcase, or wherever else it might be. So I think this is an opportunity for people to actually give promotional items that people are looking for, which is not always the case.
Right. And that's the other thing with promotional. People are like, they're trying to find a way to reconnect, right? We don't have the face-to-face. There's so many ways in which to pivot that people, they're so stuck in way they've always done business. They get stuck, right? Like, you said, Joseph, earlier, you get stuck in that middle and you don't know which way to go. And to have the mentors, to have the resources, to have the people, like, your podcasts and your interviews, getting the information out there, right, isn't always the easiest way to do now. But, Damon and I have pivoted in so many different ways in which we're now getting the information out because it's critical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's critical because lack of information is one issue. Bad information is another issue. But I know that there's so many things that people can do, and I think that's what kind of gets people stuck in the middle because there's so many choices. I don't know what to do. They either have no choices or too many. So I want to ask you guys, what are some changes or innovations that you see that are required for people to thrive? Because we talk about not just surviving, but thriving in this new environment that we're in. Whether you like it, don't like it, you're red or blue, or it doesn't matter. We're in an environment that is challenging. And if you don't see that by now, then maybe somebody should wake up because we're in a challenging environment. Some people are knocking it out of the park and other people are dying. They're just financially, they're just dead in the water. What are some things that people should be looking to do to thrive?
Joseph, you're doing one of those things right now to help people thrive. You're getting information out. You're educating people. Social media, I was not into social media at all before. It's so critical and key now, right? How do you reach out to people and connect with your customers? I can't drive down to my customers. There's a couple that are now letting me come down if I'm masked up and I have sanitizer in my hand, but you can't go see them. So the only way you're going to see them is like this. It's face-to-face over video. That's really key. Using social media, communicating with them. We have one of our account reps, and all she does is call our customers. And I can't tell you how many times she says, I call customers now. And it used to be I talked about product. Now I'll call, and Joe wants to tell me about his day or his week or the challenges he has, or somebody wants to talk about their dog. And she says they don't want to talk about just products. They want to talk about their life and what they've gone through and their life story. And by doing that, she says, I'm getting more sales. I'm getting new sales. I'm getting creative with them because I'm just communicating. I'm talking with them.
See, Damon, I don't want that to slide by. That is a paradigm shift that people have to make. If people are sitting there thinking nobody wants to talk to me and they don't make the call, they're right. Nobody wanted to talk to me because they didn't make the call. But on the other end of that phone is somebody who does want to connect, who might be looking for somebody to give them some options and some ideas. Tell them to dial into this show. They're all recorded. Give them this link and say, hey, here's something that I thought would be helpful to you. They remember who gives them this gift because gifts come in so many different packages. It could just be a gift of information. It could be a gift of encouragement. It could be a gift of an idea. That's a great point. And I love the story that she's making calls now and getting more traction than she was before because people are hungry. They need that contact.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. What else? Anything else that they could do? Because I have a few more questions for you, and I know we're going to run short on time. But we can make this a 2-hour conversation.
Absolutely. My biggest thing is there's the three things I keep referring to, right? And one of them I talked about was mindset, right? One of the things that I've really tried, I've kind of had a little bit of shift in adding more value to our customers and gaining new customers is helping people with mindset. People were shut down. They didn't want to communicate. They didn't want to talk. It's the saying, you don't know how much someone cares about you, right? Until you show them. Mm-hmm. And then, so I had mindset, right? Mission, right? Setting new goals, right? If I became laser focused, right? There was so much noise out there and there still is. And my thing is, I care so much. And so I have to have that mindset. Have I had times that I've sat at my desk and cried? Absolutely. I'm human, just like everybody else. But having those tools, right, to be able to continue and stay on. And then having that mission of, observing your environment, identifying what's going to create that fear and how do you combat it, right? Mm-hmm. Do you, and being willing to reach out. I think you were talking about that a little bit earlier. And then making moves, taking action. You've been saying it throughout the whole thing. So assessing, adjusting, pivoting. A new book I have coming out is The Pivot. And because that's all I have been talking about with people is pivoting. And that's clear back from December. And that became the new word. And all my coursework is going to be around, pivoting, and that's what I'm working on as well. So we're kind of both.
That's exciting. That's
It's
exciting. I can see the smile on your face. You're excited about it. That's awesome.
Super excited.
Let me just recap that for our listeners. Number 1 is mindset. Number 2 is mission. And number 3 is movement, action.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I mean, people got to write that down, because if you don't have the right mindset and you don't have the right mission, the target, the direction, the goal, and you don't have movement or action, what do I say in my book? A vision without a plan is just a dream. But a vision without a plan and action will remain a dream. So it's all about that. That's awesome. Thank you, Kim, for sharing that. I had another question for you guys, though, and it had to do with, so what advice? And I know you just talked about the 3 things, but what advice can you give people that might be in a position where they're okay, but they're not thriving, they're just surviving, and and they want to move forward, but they don't know how?
That's pretty much, I probably skipped that question. Those are the 3 things. Those are the advice, right? Is the having the mindset, the mission, and the moves. Because when you're taking action, you can't get shut down. You can't get stressed, right? Or you might get stressed, but having that mindset of, what, how do I pivot? Who do I, who's my community, right? Finding new communities. Boy, let me tell you, when you take action, people show up.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
And Kim's being humble, and she's not saying it, but she has a program that she's put together that's where she's having masterminds and pulling people together and providing consulting to businesses to help them to change their mindset, to pivot, because they do get stuck. They've only done the one thing, and they don't know how to get out of their way. And so she's sharing her book. She's having consultations with them. She's meeting as a group and bring a group mind together to help people to make that change. And so she didn't mention it, but when you asked the question, I was like, that's Kim. That's what she's doing. It's not part of our core business.
Then we want to know how do people reach out to you for that? I mean, and we're going to have your contact information both at the end, but how do people reach out to you for that? Because that's a critically important piece of connection that people can feel. They get isolated. I have a vision of somebody on an island by themselves. And this is not the time you want to be on an island by yourself. You might like solitude. This is not solitude. This is alone. So how could people reach out to you and talk about those masterminds?
So thank you, Joseph. And because of you, Joseph, and I know your heart and how much you give and give and give, I am of the same heart and mindset as you. And so I want to offer to your listeners and anyone that might, listen to this in the future, I'm offering a 15-minute consultation free. Okay. Reach out to me. My website is CLX. That's CLXlife.com. When you first get in there, there's going to be a pop-up. It is a free 5 tips on facing uncertainty in uncertain times.
Good.
So that's the second gift. My third gift is my online interactive book. You go down into where my books are, into my website, the link for Release What Is Holding You Back. You click on that, it'll take you to an online book, and it's right there. It's 40 pages. It's not long. It's something you can read when you're in your private place in the bathroom. I have
maybe not the
people in my house that do that, but yeah, I want to be able to give and give and give, because everybody is needing that right now. Yeah. And that book is just a start. I've got the next books coming out the end of November, The Pivot. It's going to be a series on the point of mastery. Awesome. And the first one's on for business, because I have such a heart owning so many businesses in my life and seeing what's happening in my own community, and trying to give that support and that nurturing and holding people by the hand, because right now you might want to think you're big and strong and tough, and or you want to, show that you don't need it.
Yeah.
But we are a community. We need each other, and we're not having that face to face. And I'm finding ways, even online like this, to be able to reach through and connect.
That's that. Thank you for that. And thank you for the gifts. That's clxlife.com.
Yes.
So we'll make sure we have that at the end as well. And again, Fontis is a very amazing brand that can help people to not just provide for PPE needs in a branded or off-branded way, but there's so many other things you guys do. So can they go to fontis.com? Is that what that would be?
It's gofontis.com.
Go Fontis, Fontis.
And if you want our book, for a lot of our clients, we give them our free book, the one that I wrote, which is Keep Your Customers for Life. If you go to gofontis.com/book, then you can download that book, and you can actually have that for free. Has lots of tips and tricks on how to readjust and find new customers in this changing world.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's so generous of both of you, but it speaks to your heart. And that's why we connected so nicely when we met. And it was genuine, it was authentic, and this is who we are. And so I want to totally thank you guys for being on the program today. Ike, do you have any questions as we start to tap, and then I'll give you guys a closing statement here. Ike, anything?
No, I think we've covered lots of different issues, and I appreciate you folks sharing some detail on what you're doing and the resources, and sharing those resources so generously, as Joseph said. So I look forward to knowing more about you and sharing some of what you're doing with my own clients.
Appreciate that, Ike.
Thank you, Joseph.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And so Damon, last closing words from you, and then we'll go to Kim.
For this program, thanks so much for inviting us on. I think what you're doing is great work, both of you. This is really needed in these times. It's great that you're giving back to this world and the communities that you're involved in. And that's why we're trying to give back as well. We're trying to find ways to add value. I mean, a lot of things that we do, like these free gifts, our time, those are things that we can give away, and we can help. And just make the pivots, make the change. If you're stuck, find somebody or someone to share your thoughts, your frustrations, and get an idea. I mean, that's how you get it as community, is sharing your thoughts and ideas with somebody else will spawn new thoughts and ideas. So
thank you. Yeah.
Just don't get stuck in yourself.
Yeah. Don't get stuck. And there are a lot of people stuck. Kim.
Yeah. Again, Damon's comments, of course, I am so grateful for this opportunity. Ike, I love that you're the bodyguard. You look like one. I love that. Your leadership, Joseph, from day one meeting you, right? One of the quotes that I love that you have is leadership is not something that can be, oh my gosh, I wrote down the
assigned.
Leadership is earned. It's earned. So leadership is earned. And that really struck me to the heart, because leadership's not something that it's not given to you, right? You have to earn that. And in my book, you have earned that 100-fold. I can't wait for your book to come out and share that with my clients and my customers and the concepts out of there. I have many leadership forums that I'm a part of here in Las Vegas. I'll be sharing that with them. I love what I do. I have such passion. The mindset is such a big key. Taking action, right? Having the mission, that mindset, mission, and moves really speaks to my heart. And hopefully it speaks to yours as well. I hope your listeners, if they feel that connection, that they take advantage of those gifts that I've given, right? Because they are given from the heart.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And this is a great session. Thank you. And thank you for both being here. It is really amazing that there really is some information that is being shared here today that can help move people, not just in small steps, but in exponential steps if they choose to see it that way. Perspective, with all the things that are going on around us, all the uncertainty, all the craziness, all the unrest, all the whatever that stuff is noise that distracts us from helping us to find that path and be on that path and move on that path that takes us someplace different than we are today. And we've all heard it before, you know, that you got to have a plan and you got to execute, but it's simpler than that. Just think about it and then get lined up with the right people and move. And so thank you for that. And Ike, I want to give you just a moment to say anything as we close here, but I've so enjoyed this conversation with the two of you, and I'm totally excited about our people taking advantage of the free gifts that you've given and the time that you've offered. You know, we're doing some consulting with our clients on business in the new normal and how you move forward and how you regain customer confidence and all of those things. And we're doing a good mission. We're doing a good work. We really are doing a good work. And Ike, the bodyguard of people's wealth. Love that. Ike.
Well, again, thank you both for joining us today, and thank you for having the courage to share the story of the adversity you faced. Everybody loves talking about their successes. A much smaller group of people has the humility to talk about when things didn't go right or the hard times they've been through. You folks are not alone. None of us are alone in this. It's affected everybody in the country in different ways. And so thank you for sharing that as well, because I think it's a story that other business owners need to know, so that they have hope and move forward as well.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you again, everybody. And I'm going to just say to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today. Please share this link with others that you feel would benefit from a different vision, a different perspective, that needs some ideas on how they move forward in their business, in their life. For now, we'll say thank you from me, Joseph Rosales, and my co-host, Ike Devji, and to Kim Bassett and to Damon Stevens. Thank you for being our guest, and we'll talk to everybody next week. Bye-bye.